All right, Anthony. So the latest on the coaching front, Mike. We know they met with James Borrego yesterday. They're meeting today with
Kenny Atkinson is in today,
and supposedly somebody else coming.
Yeah, Mike and Nori, I think is going to come in for a second interview later this week. That is unconfirmed, just circulating through the social media sphere. So it appears those are down to their final 3 candidates. We know Borrego's in. We know Atkinson's in. We think Nori's going to get an in-person interview, and we will see what happens after that. And, G, you weren't here yesterday.
Nope.
So I want to start with you, then we'll take this out broader. But if that is the Cavs' final 3 in terms of their candidate choices, Atkinson, Borrego, Nori, is that the right 3 finalists from the bigger picture group they've interviewed? Or is someone not there who, in your mind, should be?
No, it's the right mix. I think you got to have, when you're looking for this search, you got to have guys that are guys that people can believe in, like guys that have enough backing and cachet. There's different times for different things, and I think one of the things that we talked about with JB Bickerstaff, some things run its course, and sometimes you are there for a particular season in someone's life or a particular season in the way the organization is shaped. So sometimes, people aren't going to be there forever. Like, he was there and he was a good guy for what they wanted to do. I think JB is a good starter coach that can build the building blocks of a culture. Like, guys, we want you to play hard, building the young dude. But then sometimes it comes a point in time where you need somebody who has a track record of saying, I get results. Like, I understand. I could take you to the next level. This is what I do. And so for me, I've been steadfast in saying it was Kenny Atkinson for a long period of time, because he's dealt with almost being jettisoned by superstars, right?
They told him peace.
But yeah, he got jettisoned by like Kevin Durant and all those guys. He's also worked with the turmoil of Draymond Green and figuring out what you're going to do with Klay Thompson as an older star and Steph Curry. So and plus he's always done a good job offensively, getting guys to play, I think, even above what their individual parts and pieces are when they led them to a playoff run when they had guys like D'Angelo Russell and some of those guys. So for me, I think he's the dude. I like Borrego. I like his his pedigree. I like the fact that I feel like he can bring something excitement, some up and coming, some fresh bloods to the game. But here's the thing. I think at the end of the day, Donovan Mitchell can respect him. I think, and if you want to get the most, Jared Allen knows him. He played for him. And if they want, and I don't agree they should do this. He's the only coach, and I thought long and hard.
You mean Atkinson is?
Atkinson is the only coach that I believe that the front office can say, I want to see what this unit does with him. He's the only coach. I would not do that, and I wouldn't agree with it.
My mind just exploded.
I wouldn't agree with it.
Wow.
But I looked at it.
You mean the core four?
Yes.
G is saying he could live with a run it back with Kenny Atkinson.
Listen.
The last thing I expected to hear today.
I wouldn't personally do it.
Yeah.
But because I was looking at your trade machine stuff. If they can't get no trades for the guys and they don't come up with a good package, he's the only coach I believe that they can come back and say, we're gonna run it back with these guys because I feel like he's gonna transform what they do offensively that much.
Are you ready though? Let's say it's Borrego. Are you ready to have another coach named JB? You're there 4 more years of JB.
We gotta call him something different.
So it's funny because G texted me at 2 a.m. saying the panel was tripping on these trades yesterday.
Tripping on these trades.
We were tripping?
Tripping.
Who
Come
was
on,
tripping
man.
the most?
Yeah, listen.
What did you like?
Man, and Kyle Kuzma, I'm like, when they said Kyle Kuzma, they was like, I don't like Kuz. I said, boy, are you serious? Give me Kyle Kuzma. He's longer. He's athletic. He can shoot the ball. He shoot almost 40%, don't he? 36, 37?
You didn't like I think I like the Spurs trade and the Magic.
I like that.
Like those?
Actually, I like that trade.
He liked all of them.
I liked all of them.
He wants to ship out Garland, though. He's steadfast.
I'm with him.
Everybody except for the Rockets deal. I think Van Vliet is a little he stepped back a little bit.
He's old.
He looked like he lost a step. But everybody else loved it.
Back to the coaches thing real quick. When they initially put out the list, like the day they fired JB, Bickerstaff, not Borrego, the two names that were immediately tied to the job were Atkinson and Borrego. And I was more familiar with what Atkinson runs and what he did in Brooklyn than I was with Borrego and what he did in Charlotte. And Nori's still an unknown. He has a great track record of developing big men. He's been the lead assistant in Minnesota, but he's never had his own team. So he's more of a question mark in terms of what we know he likes to do and what he likes to run as opposed to the other two. And I've spent more time than I probably should just looking at old Charlotte Hornets offensive playbooks and going back and digging through the Nets offensive playbook. And I'm telling you, I'm coming more and more around to Borrego than I ever thought I would be when this started. He was not in my personal top 2 or 3 when this process started, but the more I watch and the more I look, the more I've read about his tenure in Charlotte, the more I actually like what Borrego did. Let me just give you a couple bullet points on Borrego as now kind of my selling points on him. Took over a Charlotte team with a terrible roster, right? Second season won 23 games, third season won 33 games, fourth season won 43 games. He made back-to-back play-in tournaments with LaMelo Ball as their best player. Now, he was not fired after the 2022 season because his team wasn't good. They won 43 games. Michael Jordan said, we don't like your fit with this young locker room, so we're going to go different directions. And it turns out, real quick, that young locker room included Miles Bridges, who's had his own set of issues, LaMelo Ball, who's had his own set of issues off the court. It's a pretty jambalaya of personalities in there that I'm not quite sure any coach could have dealt with in a manner to get the most out of them. But when you look at what he runs offensively, and I'm going to do an Ultimate Cavs show tonight, I'm going to break some of this stuff down on that. I just didn't have the videos and time to put it together this morning. He runs a lot of stuff, G, that utilizes spacing in ways that the Cavs are going. It's going to be a foreign language to Cavs fans who haven't seen and have only watched JB Bickerstaff over the last few years. He has some little tweaks to pick and roll sets that get the backside cleared. So if you want to throw a lob, you're putting a defender in a pickle. He runs a little veer action at the top that Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, if they keep those two together, I think could excel. It worked for Devontae Graham and LaMelo Ball. If you can make it work that, and I'm talking like legitimately work, like I'll give you some of the numbers real quick. Not to get nerdy, Bull. I know basketball numbers aren't your favorite, but real quick.
Give me some. I like nerdy numbers, even basketball.
His final season in Charlotte, or his 3 of his 4 seasons in Charlotte, his team was top 10 in the league in three-point attempts. Pace and space, the name of the game for Borrego. His last season, when they won 43 games, they are second in the league in points per game, 115.2. 4th in three-point makes per game, 6th in three-point percentage per game, number 1 in assists per game. Ball movement's a key factor in their offense.
Which we all would like to watch.
Yeah, which is my point.
That's fun basketball.
It's a fun style of basketball. And with a bad roster, that roster was not good. They won 40th. It's not a good roster. That last season, 8th in offensive rating, 3rd in assist rating, 2nd in assist-to-turnover ratio. They played the 6th quickest pace in basketball. They had the 2nd most corner threes. And you talk about, what one of the big issues with JB Bickerstaff was. Timeout, could he make an adjustment? You ready for this? And I spent way too much time, way too much time looking into this, that 2021-2022 season. In the half-court offense, just in the normal flow of the game, they averaged .903 points per possession. That was 29th in the NBA. After a timeout, or the end of a quarter, so where he gets a chance to set something up, that jumped up to .983 points per possession, 10th in the NBA.
So
he has the acumen, like tangible evidence.
Yeah.
It made a difference. And the lineups he played with in Charlotte mimic, and I know you're going to hate this, more of the core 4 than what Atkinson did within Brooklyn. So I think Borrego, to me, I understand, but I think to me, Borrego has surpassed Atkinson as the guy I think makes the most sense for the job now.
I think there's a lot to like about all 3 of these guys. It seems like the Cavs have done a really good job here of finding very good candidates. I think one of the things, you guys have talked both about both of them, I think something that you guys haven't mentioned about either of these guys, from James Borrego's point, and I know some people don't care about this, I like that he's younger. He's younger than the other two. Not that much younger than Nori, but he's significant. He's probably I think he's about 10 years younger than Atkinson. Atkinson's getting up, he's like 57, 58. That's a little old. Not too old, but it's a little old. So I kind of like that Nori's younger, 47 I think he is. I like that age-wise, not too young.
I think Borrego's 44, 43, 44.
I'm sorry, I meant Borrego's 40. That's what I meant. I think he's 47. Go ahead, look it up. Nori's like 50. I think Borrego's 47. So I like that he's younger, but not too
46,
young.
right
46, right? But the one thing I'll say about Atkinson that I like also is I like a guy that had to pay his dues. Atkinson, I'm sure most people don't know this. I didn't know this until I looked it up. He played 15 years of professional basketball all over the world.
Yep.
He didn't play in the NBA. Wasn't good enough. He traveled all over the world. He was a grinder. And then after that, he had to grind to become a coach. His first job was some team I never heard of, whatever. And then eventually he got an opportunity in the NBA, and he was an assistant for a long time. And he got his first chance with Brooklyn. And, yeah, it didn't end great because the Stars pushed him out. But like you mentioned with some of the issues at Charlotte, you know.
It wasn't more of a coaching thing in Brooklyn either. It was
Yeah.
more of his dynamic with the Stars.
Yeah, I mean, and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, let's face it.
Tough to coach.
They're not the easiest stars to deal with. I'm guessing Donovan Mitchell is easier to deal with than those two guys. Now, maybe they won't have chemistry either, but, you know, Donovan Mitchell doesn't have the reputation of being a pain in the butt like Kyrie and Kevin Durant have at times in their career. So I think there's a lot to like about both those guys. Plus, they have experience, and there's something to be said for that, you know. So I do like what you talked, those numbers. I'm glad you gave those numbers because they made me a little excited about Borrego because I'd love to see, I think we'd all love to see the Cavs play this type of ball where they're moving the ball and getting assists all the time. And
watch the Ultimate Cav. Think about it, do 7:30.
Yeah.
And we'll do some more on the show if he's hired, but I am going to do a little I spent way too much time. Ant was looking at me yesterday doing it like.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of Charlotte
I know
Hornets
you
basketball
did.
from 2021, and I'm a psychopath for it. But it does fit the characteristics, especially with the two guards.
Yeah.
The front court, you still have to make some work. But if Devontae Graham and LaMelo Ball could be as efficient and effective as they were with some of this action, neither of them are at the caliber of Donovan Mitchell.
Right.
And Darius should thrive in a system, or theoretically speaking, could thrive in a system like that to put him in the position to succeed.